There we go.
And we're live. And now we're going to start recording. Hey, everyone. It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you're at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please give it a like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play so that you can get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for the music and my patrons, Doug Jones, Joshua and Caleb Slinkard, Tom Brotherman, and Jeff Arbaugh, and my new patrons, Joshua Johnson, Deborah Burris, and what do you know, Nic Hubbard. Is Nick any relation?
Any relation to who?
Is that you?
It's me.
It's you.
Yeah, yes, it's me.
Yeah, we know it's you. I'm just messing around. If you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocachetalk for more details. Patrons get path tags. I'll show it one more time. I showed it last week. There's the path.
Very cool.
The latest path tag for this year. Yeah. I sent you one, by the way, so it's in the mail.
Awesome.
It really is. Trust me. Coins, different other kinds of geocaching swag. And during the year, we'll do some special events. And we think we've got one scheduled. We're still kind of working on the date. So we're hoping to get that settled. But we're going to play GC World, which is back here, which is always, you can see part of the field, Nick, right here.
Yep.
That's all you get to see of the show, of the game.
Preview.
Preview of it until the game night. Game night, we'll show the whole thing. We'll get the board out, and we'll have a great time. It's a lot of fun, I think, to play that game. Anyway, support levels start at as little as $3 a month. Tonight we have news from geocaching.com, our mega event update, and along with a weekly product tip. So let's jump right into show number 14. I can't believe I've done 14 of these now. For Sunday, September 11th, as I welcome my friend Nic Hubbard to the show. Welcome to Geocache Talk.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. I appreciate you being on the show tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. We kind of talked about this a little bit early on, way back in the day that I wanted to have you on, and of course it was worked out. This worked out, so perfect.
Yep.
So Geocaching News is sponsored by FTF Magazine. I'll grab an FTF Magazine for those who have never seen. Good old FTF Magazine. There they are. FTF Magazine can be found at ftfgeocacher.com. And the news item for today is there was an article that came out, email plus blog entry from Groundspeak about International Earth Cache Day, which is October 9th. And you can earn a new souvenir. And we're going to talk about souvenirs here in a little bit on Cachly. But you can earn a new souvenir by learning more about the Earth, aka the Geocachers Game Board. All you have to do is go out and find an Earth cache on International Earth Cache Day. Earth caches don't have physical containers, as we know. Maybe some do not. But instead, brings you to a unique location, teaches you a geological science lesson. Interesting enough, Slinky Mom and I did an Earth cache at the Kyle, Texas Geo Tour. They had several different types of caches. One of them was an Earth cache. Interesting enough, the Earth cache was in a cemetery, which you're like, why are we doing an Earth cache in a cemetery? What's interesting, it's a very old cemetery, and so different monuments there were made of different materials, and so they asked questions about marble or granite, or so kind of interesting, to talk about and look at the, so teaches you a little about the Mohs hardness scale. So, there you go. Earth cache, good Earth cache information there about learning things about the Earth, and so you can get a souvenir on October 9th.
Awesome.
Yes, always love, as Slinky Mom always says, she loves geocaching souvenirs because she doesn't have to dust them. You put them on the
It's
shelf
true.
and don't dust them. That's right.
Very true.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, later we're gonna talk about a giveaway. So let me show the giveaway to get everybody excited for. Ooh, I'm showing your geocoin,
Geocoin, yeah.
which I love. It's very cool. I like your choice of the how you did the icon in the
Yeah,
geocoin.
it matches the icon for the app, so.
Yeah, very much so. I really like that, and I even like the back. I don't want to show the whole back because I've got the button, but there's the kind of it's like topographical stuff. So all right,
Contour
so
line.
that's yes. Ooh, there you go. See, that's why I get the good guests on because they give me all the good information. So anyway, so we so Nick, I'm gonna laud your app quite a bit tonight, so just be prepared.
Okay.
But what's interesting was I found it really early on. What's interesting is I first saw it back in December, and what's interesting is I found it. I don't know. I just was swimming around the iTunes store and found that, and thought, oh, interesting. So out of the blue, I sent you an email, support at Cachly, and I get a response back. I'm like, this is cool. Somebody's actually reading this stuff and responding. And so that kind of started you and I's relationship together. And we actually, I was back when I was on Cache and Release, and we got you on Cache and Release. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
And so much, of course, has occurred. That was long ago. It was early on. But talking to different people over the past year, Joshua Johnson, who'll be on next week, he loves it. We know Scott Burks loves it, and he learned to love it from Deborah Burris. Sydney Sawyer Sherman Area 18 loves it. But what's interesting, and a lot of people do, so I don't want to mention everybody. Those are just some of the names that came to mind. But what's interesting was I finished last week's show with West Virginia Tim, which is, of course, a big highlight for me, just to be able to talk with Tim. He is like geocaching royalty, one of those that is in the pantheon. And we finished the show, and we had a little talk afterwards for 5-10 minutes. And I mentioned that you were going to be on the show next week. And he goes, oh, tell Nick that I love Cachly.
That's cool.
So I thought, that is awesome. So WV Tim, you can't get a better endorsement, Nick.
Absolutely.
Than WV Tim. So anyway, well, let's get out. Let's get through some other little items. Then we're going to dive in, and actually we're going to look at this stuff in a little bit. But let's get through a few other items first. One is, how in the world did this whole thing begin?
Boy. So I started geocaching. Actually, I looked today to see when I had started actually registered as an account. It was actually 4 years ago today. So September 11, 2012, which I was surprised about because I didn't realize the actual date.
Happy 4-year anniversary.
Exactly. Yeah. Do I get a souvenir for that? I don't think so.
Absolutely. You can make one. You own Cachly. You're the inventor. As Joshua said, you're the inventor of Cachly. So
yeah, exactly. I'll just add one in there.
Right.
So I think at that time I was new to geocaching, and I downloaded a couple different apps, and I was previously a developer for iOS apps, and I had worked with a designer that I knew, and so I kind of knew some design ideas myself. And I looked at all the ones that were out there, and I wasn't very happy with what I was seeing personally. Just the feel of the apps and the navigation, just how they all worked. And I said, there's got to be, you got to be a better one than this. You got to be a better way to do this. So I actually mentioned it to my design buddy, and I was saying maybe we should build a geocaching app. And I think I talked about it for a year or something like that, and finally I told him I'm just going to do it all myself because I knew he didn't have time. So That's just how it happened. I started building it, worked on it for probably 2 years, and then finally was able to release it in December of last year. So that was
Wow.
kind of the process. And I was lucky to get in early on the API partner
Hmm.
program with
Right.
Groundspeed, because they shut that down. And I think I made a note of it here when
Wow.
so I got access on May 8, 2013.
Okay.
And they shut it down, I think actually a couple months after that. So I
Wow.
was lucky. And once I actually released this app, a lot of people were like, "How did you get in? It's been closed for a long
Yeah.
time." But I didn't realize I had just been working
Yeah.
on the app for years, and I had access, the whole time. So,
Wow. That, but you probably didn't have any idea, or did you, that they were going to, there was a limited time that they were going to let people develop apps?
well, if you had signed up and they had given you access to it, like their staging server, which is kind of their demo server, they would keep you on. You could still get your what are called production keys, so that we could actually use it on the real server. So even though I hadn't released the app yet, they were
Right.
still going to give me those. They weren't going to cut me off. So
Sure. But they weren't, they didn't like let you in and then go, "Hey, by the way," or did they
oh
announce to the
no, no.
world that, okay.
I don't
They
know if they
didn't.
even announced it to the world. They sent an email to all of the partners and stuff, but at
Okay.
that time, I don't think I was following the blog or anything like that. I'm not sure if they even announced it. They must have, because people knew. But I actually don't remember how they announced it.
Okay. Well, I think Jesse is in our chat room, or one of the Memphis Mafia gang.
Jesse knows me.
So yes, he does. In fact, he just wrote in the chat room. He says, "I used Cachly today for a cache in the mountains."
Nice.
Now we'll have to, Jesse or Christy, whoever's in there, tell us, make a note if you would in the chat room whether you did an offline list or not, because this is something that I think some people, and I'm not the greatest when it comes um, to the apps. Don't tell anybody I'm running a podcast about technology stuff. And, okay, never mind. But I've gotten pretty good at um, using my phone, which I love using my phone. I know I've got my GPS R. I need to learn it better. I know, but the cool thing about using good old Cachly is I can easily update an offline list, and then if I don't have signal, I still have my GPS working on my phone.
Yep.
So even though, so to me that is invaluable, because at that point I don't have to look up the cache. I have the information about the cache. I have my GPS.
Yep.
I mean, right?
You just need
Yeah.
You just need maps.
Right. So yeah. So Jesse or Christy wrote. Um, he said, they use the offline list like we just talked about, and he had no cell service in the area, which
Yep.
is, most people, of course, fall back on the GPSR, but I really do love that feature. But we'll get back to the features here in a second. But all right, so you got the whole thing started, and we talked about we're about 9 months now to into the app. And I'm going to talk about some of my favorite features here in a second, but I am going to, and Nick, this is how it goes. I'm all over the map, so you just kind of try to
No worries.
keep with me. Um, so it's been going now, like I said, 9 months. How how do you think that it's been? Because I don't think people realize that you have a day job. So this
I
is
do.
a separate job that you have, but it's not your regular day job. So how do you feel like it's gone so far?
I feel like it's gone really well. So when I first launched it, I had no idea how it would go. I didn't have an expectation of what would happen, how many people would download it. It was just an idea, and I hoped it would succeed. But yeah, it's gotten steadily better. Downloads have been good. You know, one of the best thing that's happened was actually when Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, asked if I wanted to partner with him and do a video. So
Yes.
that was the one where it wasn't the Geo Woodstock one, it was the
Right.
one before that.
Before that, yeah.
And that was actually the best promotion probably I've ever had. And that uh, really helped sales, and it's been a lot more steady since that. So I think that really got the word out there. It probably brought my website higher in the ranks of Google and different things like that. So that really helped. But overall, I've been really happy with how it's been going. And yeah, like you said, I do have a day job. I wish I could work on Cashly full time. I'd actually love to do that. But someday I hope I could.
Sure.
So yeah.
Very cool. Well, let's talk about me for a minute.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Let's talk about some of the things I've found, and I want to bounce them off of you, and hopefully these are some things that other people have really enjoyed about Cashly, or maybe we have some people probably listening or watching who maybe are, want to kind of understand more about Cashly and may not be a user yet. They kind of want to know some more. So first thing that comes to my mind when, or the first thing that really hits me when I started looking at making some notes for the show was, what are some things I like? The first thing that I love is, if I can show it on the screen here, navigate to cache.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how wonderful that is to click that, navigate to cache, and then pick. Now we've got, I'll show it. Hang on a second. Okay. I know it's tough to show on the screen all the time, and I'll tell people as we go, but you've got Apple, Google, and Waze, and I love Waze. I'm a huge fan of Waze.
And there's actually a lot more than that available. It's only if you have the apps installed. So
okay.
We have,
neat.
I think we have about 10 or more. So
wow.
I wish I had a list here to tell you all of them. But yeah, we have lots of them. It's just, it does a check to see if you have the app installed, and then it only shows the option if you do. So
okay, yeah. So I've only got the 3 because I use basically, well, it comes with Apple. I got Google and of course Waze. So okay, well, neat. So even more wonderful than I thought about. So anyway, so let me back up. So I look at my screen here, and a new feature that I think came out in the spring. Help me out, but let me show it here. And that is, I look at my icons and see, this is good old Greenville, Texas here. I'm showing on the screen, and see that blue one right there?
Yes.
That is a DNF, and that is my nemesis. I cannot find that sucker. I got to go back, take Slinky Mom and go back out there. But I like the fact that it shows it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a feature I added. It's been quite a few months ago. But yeah, it's one that people have requested, and I had thought about it for a while, tried to figure out how I could do it, how it would work the best, and tested it with our beta testers for a while, and then finally released it, and everybody has seemed to love it. So
yeah. It's a very cool. I like your icons too. One thing that I'm not gonna really, I like the geocaching.com app. I like the Slinky Mama loves the classic one. I'm glad they're gonna leave classic around for a while.
Yeah.
The new one is okay. I don't really use it very much. I kind of pull it up because I kind of need to know it, because I've got a podcast. Yeah. So one thing I don't like that came out recently with theirs, I'm not gonna really bash their product a whole lot. But clumping, or however they do that, I hate that. And of course, you don't do. Hopefully, now I'm maybe stepping in a big bear trap. I should ask you before the show, but you're not going to go to clumping, are you?
No, I don't have any plans to do that. The reason they probably do that is to save memory or something.
Okay.
But I don't like that, because it's the software that's determining when it shows your caches for you. So if you're zoomed out further, it's just going to clump them together, and maybe you wanted to see them. Maybe you wanted
Right.
to see all of them. So it is kind of frustrating. I would hope that they would maybe add a settings option where you could turn that off. That would kind of be
Exactly.
ideal for users, I think.
That would
But
be ideal.
yeah.
Because in a sense, how I can put this, I don't need the app to govern my power
Hmm.
in a sense. I mean, I know it's going to take power to
Yeah.
run a lot of the stuff. I know that, or I hopefully should know that. I do. Hopefully other people do, but I like the fact that the app provides me with options.
Yeah.
And I understand that a lot of things, like you said, take power or take space. And I do appreciate when apps, especially Cachly, provide or are cognizant and are trying to help me as the user to not use as much power or space. But I kind of want that option.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I'm okay with the power or the space being taken, but I like you said, I like to have the option of one way or the other.
Yeah.
So
You don't want to sacrifice usability for those other things.
absolutely. Another quick thing I want to mention is if I pull up an app, if I pull up a cache, one thing that I really love, because one thing that Slinky Mom and I do when we're out geocaching is we start looking, or even before we start looking, we go, okay, what's the status of this cache?
Yep.
And instead of reading logs in Cachly, I can look at the dots.
Yeah. Very helpful.
5 green dots. That's quick. I can quickly look at it immediately. If it's gray, I know it's a node. I need to go read. But time, I can immediately look. The last 5 logs are
Green.
fines.
Yep.
They're green. That is so invaluable, because when you're out caching and you want to know, if you're out and you really haven't maybe like me planned a lot ahead. We plan ahead basically what we can, but there's times when you're out, you're like, what's nearby? Let's try to find a cache. And
Sure.
quickly I can just go, okay, 5 green dots, 5 people found it. So
Yeah.
I love that. I love that option. I could go read the log, but it's a nice quick thing I can look at. So,
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah. I love that feature too.
Another thing I kind of like is, and I've gotten better at using the option, and I have to find where it is, but we'll just keep going, because if I can't find it, that's okay. Because you know exactly where it is, but it's saved logs. And so what I'll do is I like putting a little note, a default log information, because
Yep.
sometimes we're out and we're doing them fast and furious. And so I've got a default saved log that says I have more information to come, and I can just click it and move on.
Yep.
I know as a cache owner, I don't really love that, but I tend to read. If somebody comes back and rewrites it, I'll go take a look for it or whatever. So I know it's one of those things where, but it's a cool thing to have. And I know a lot of people do love to put, like I put the website. I know it's so cheesy, but I put the Geocache Talk website.
I saw that. I was looking at my caches today.
So I know it's terrible, isn't it? Anyway, but I like that feature. I don't know if is there other people mentioned that they like that, or I know Scott Burks loves it.
Yeah, a lot of people appreciate that, and a lot of people will also use the, they'll send it as a field note, and then they'll, upgrade it to a cache note or a found later, on geocaching.com. So that's
a great thing.
People do it in a couple different ways.
Okay. All right. Well, enough of my stuff. I like adding photos. I like the ease of use of, we talked about offline lists, and I really like the sorting feature, but enough about me. Let's get into version 2.0, which is forthcoming. So tell us a little bit about when that's going to arrive, and we will start talking about some of the things in 2.0.
So I did say last month that I would hope I was gonna have it by the end of that month, but that didn't
Hmm.
happen.
That's okay.
So now I've decided I'm gonna say I'm not making any promises.
Okay.
I hope by the end of this month, but I don't want to release something that isn't finished yet, or is
Oh,
half
sure.
finished. But I would hope by the end of this month. But it's gonna be a big release, packed with awesome features, just really good stuff. So um, we have about 70 beta users that are testing it right now. So
Oh, very
they're
cool.
they're testing it, finding bugs, things like that, and there's always things that pop up that take a little while to fix. So
When did you start, or have you changed the way that you do the beta testing over the last 9 months or so, or do you pretty much do it the same way you've always kind of done it, where you find people that are interested and you, or how do you work the beta program?
So I started off with one guy, and this was a friend of mine who actually I've talked about before, who
Hmm.
used to be a carpooler with my wife, and he used to be he's a big geocacher, and he would stop and find geocaches when they were trying to get to work. And he was my first beta tester, and
Okay.
he's still a beta tester. And then from just random things, I would get more beta testers, and it's kind of snowballed, and I'll make requests, and people will just volunteer. So
Hmm.
it's cycled through where people have asked to not do it anymore, and then I've gotten new people. So it's averaged between 70 and 100 people
Okay.
the whole time. And I use a tool that Apple provides called Test Flight that is just a really slick, easy way for them to get the beta versions and stuff. So
Oh, okay. That is cool.
yeah,
I've noticed reading on your Twitter account, you have fancy, I don't say fancy, but you have names for your different versions, which I know all the, being in IT, I know that, you hear these crazy names thrown about. So you have different names for your different beta versions, I guess.
you talking about like what like 2.0 means, or are you talking about the build numbers and things like that?
Yeah. Do you have like a nickname for different build
Oh,
versions?
oh,
Or,
kind of like Android does and Apple does.
yeah.
You
Don't you have like,
I've never actually done that.
never did that? Okay.
That would be a good idea. That I could just refer to that and it'd be a
Yeah.
clever name. But
Yes.
I
Call it,
haven't thought of one of those yet.
bulldog, or go through I don't know, fruit names, or I don't know, something crazy,
Yeah,
but anyway.
I need to think of some theme and then just stick with that,
Yes.
kind of like Apple
Yeah.
and Android do. So yeah, good
We had a guy.
idea.
Yeah, we had a guy where he used to work. He loved to name our servers after Greek gods. It's like, oh, seriously? This before we had a like a standardized, like, meaningful. So we had all these, all these different Greek gods. Apollo was one of the servers, but
Yeah,
anyway.
that's a good naming convention. I like
Yeah.
that.
So, um, so um, maps. This is always something I think that um, I would say a hot topic, but you probably get a lot of comments. There's a lot of buzz, or a lot of
Yeah,
information, I guess, about the maps.
yeah.
So, talk a little bit about where we're headed with version 2 and the maps.
So this is something I've been working on for probably 4 or 5 months, and I didn't know when I would be able to put it into a version, but I finally got far enough that I figured out we could go in version 2.0. But yeah, we're gonna have OpenStreetMaps vector downloads, and you can load those in as maps. And just to give an example, on the current version of Cachly, which doesn't use that, it's all tile based. So you're downloading images. You're for every single little tile on your screen, you're downloading an image file.
Okay.
At every
And
zoom level, it increases. So there's trillions and trillions for the world. And just for example, like my state of Washington, to
mhm.
download between level 0 and 17 of the entire state, I think it would take a couple terabytes. So that's
Wow.
nobody has a phone with that much space, obviously.
Sure.
Um, but to do that with our new maps with Vector, it's 59 megabytes.
Oh,
So
wow.
if people know what a megabyte is, it's pretty small. I mean, everybody's phone has quite a few gigabytes. So I mean, 59 megabytes is nothing.
Yeah, at least 69 gigs. So, and if you're only talking about 59 megabytes, that's tiny. You're
Yeah.
right.
And the largest download we have is, I think, for Japan. Japan is really a large mapping file for some reason, and it's about 450 megabytes. But even that is really small. So we've gone from these massive downloads where nobody could ever contain all the tiles for like Japan on their phone, and now they can download that and have multiple countries, multiple states, all just sitting on their phone. So that's kind of where we are on our 2.0 version. It's
Okay.
all hosted on our own servers. It's all something I control, so that you'll be able to browse through the downloadable countries and states and provinces, and we pretty much have the entire world mapped and ready to download and load up in Cachly. So
Oh, very cool.
that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, because like if let's say I live in the UK, but being Europe is such a place where people travel quite a bit.
Yep.
I can get now pretty much like I can go to France or wherever, all these different countries, and on my phone it's going to be so much easier to have that information than trying to have all that stored.
Yeah, and if you're from the States and you go over there, then you're having to worry about data costs, if you're trying to actually download, regular maps and stuff like that. So you can just download this before and come over there and, just cache an entire country and not have to worry about offline maps. So, which
is a big thing for as far as data usage. I know I hear a lot about from our Canadian friends that like Land Monkeys, and he's in Vancouver, British Columbia, and that's always a topic he brings up is if I go to the States, I got to be careful about data usage. So, all right, well, very cool. Well, let's talk about, because we talked about it earlier, and that is the wonderful souvenirs. So how is that feature, how is that going to work?
So people have asked for this for a long time, and I've actually had it on my list probably since I started developing Cachly, which has been a long time. And I finally got around to it. So it'll work where you can view your own souvenirs, a list of them, and then obviously view the details and view the large image and the smaller image, because there's two different graphics that get designed for each souvenir.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Yeah, 2 pages.
And then you can also browse other people's souvenirs, which is nice, because we have a completely redesigned user profile, and that's one of the things that you can browse. So
which we're going to look at in a minute. But
yes, tell me when you're ready for some screenshots, and I got plenty to show you.
Is this should we do that now?
Well, we could do it whenever, and then I got screenshots for different topics. So
yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll you and I kind of keep track of, or I'll keep track of, for us, the iTunes listeners. We're going to talk through the screenshots. So Nick's going to pull up screen share, and he's going to show us some items. So
did that work?
We're headed that way. Yes, I can see your screen now, and you're gonna show us some different.
Yeah, can you see those souvenirs there?
Features. Yeah, let me get to that. Yes, I can.
Okay, so you'll see obviously the list of souvenirs that you have, the dates you got them, be able to scroll through them, and then tap them, and you can see more details. You can see about the souvenir, who was created by, their website, things like that. Kind of just the general data that that Groundspeak provides. I didn't include a screenshot of the full size image, but it's different than the little icon, which is kind of cool. So whoever is designing these souvenirs has to design 2 different graphics. So that's something that's neat. So
very cool.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to browse other people's souvenirs, because you can check out how many people have, and all the fun ones they found and stuff. So that's something I was kind of excited about.
That is very cool, because there's some souvenirs you can never get anymore, and and you always kind of wonder. I wonder what that souvenir looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not going to see it any other way. So I can find, if I know a user that would have it, I can kind of go look and see it. That's very cool.
Yeah, you could search for their user under the friends section, and then just browse their user profile and see all their souvenirs and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Okay. One question that came up while we're in the middle of this thing is UDAC is in the chat room, and he mentioned, here's his question. With all the raves about this app, and let me tell you, I'm a huge fan, as everybody knows. Why doesn't GC.com or Groundspeak buy this app and hire Nick? So have they approached you about purchasing it, or can you talk
No,
about that? Or okay.
no. Haven't done that. I actually had a excuse me,
Yeah.
have talked to them, about my needs and things like that, and they've just been really receptive to my
Mhm.
questions and ideas that I had for maybe improving the way the API works and stuff. And I think they're fine with third-party developers. They're happy for us to work together, for them to have their own app that serves a certain part of their
Mhm.
their user base, and they're happy to have us third-party developers that might serve a different user base.
Okay.
Because in the end, they want to have people sign up for premium subscriptions. You know,
Yeah.
and if it's using my app or their app and they're still premium users, then in the end they're happy. So
Sure.
currently there
And
hasn't been any talk about that.
right, and that's something that we'll talk about as the night goes on. That I think people, and this is something I guess is to clear up some questions or maybe that people have, is how much you have actually even have access to versus what you don't have access to, and what you don't have access to, of course, you can't put it in your app. So,
Sure, exactly.
yeah. So another one that came up was trackable mileage on your trackables.
Yep.
Now you're going to have that as a item you're going to have in 2.0.
Yep, we're going to add that, and it's something that's actually simple to do. It just has never gotten put in there.
Okay.
So
It was on
yeah,
your list to add. Okay.
on my list to add, and my list to add is quite large. So I have had to prioritize things and see which features should actually go in.
Sure. Yeah. Memphis Mafia mentioned that refreshing caches saved to offline lists would be a good feature.
That is coming in 2.0. That's a
Hey.
much requested feature, and you're going to be able to do it. Well, actually, right now you can do it for individual caches. If you go to the cache detail screen, you can either pull down or tap the ... to choose refresh. But in 2.0, you'll be able to refresh an entire list.
Oh, cool.
So,
I love it. That is awesome.
yep.
Okay. So we're going to have a new user profile screen.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to show.
Yeah, sure. That's something that I personally was really excited about because it gives it kind of a social media feel, and you can just kind of browse through your user or your friends and different users, and so this is kind of what the
Very
new
cool.
profile looks like. If you pull down, your username and stuff kind of disappears, and the image behind kind of comes into focus. So it's a little kind of cool effect there. And you can see your finds and your hides, and you can actually tap on all these and go and look at them.
Okay.
With the exception of favorites, only works on your own profile. You can't view other people's favorites.
Sure.
And
Now
no, go ahead.
I was going to say on the favorites portion of your profile that you're going to have in 2.0, explain to me what the numbers mean, because there's two numbers there. Is one how many favorite points I still have to give out?
Yeah, and that's something I am working on figuring out what the best way to do it. So yeah, 5 is how many I have to still add, and 11 is how many I've assigned already. So it's not very clear. I had a user or a beta tester who suggested, make sure you show how many I have left, and I haven't made an easy way yet to make that clear.
That's good.
So
Once I know what they are, that's good.
yeah.
Okay. What are some other screens that are?
So another cool
cool
one that I actually thought was really fun was the gallery, and you can then see all of your images that you've uploaded for any of your logs, as well as then you can go to somebody else's user profile and browse through all their images, which is kind of fun. I spent tons of time just like browsing through people I know, just looking at all their images,
right,
which is kind of fun. So
yeah, and if you forget about pictures you've done from
exactly.
long ago.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then if you scroll down to the bottom of your profile or somebody else's profile, you can see what kind of cache types they have for finds and hides, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So a couple days ago, Nick sends me a message. He goes, "Hey, what's your GC your GC name?" And I go, "Okay, it's G Slink and Slinky Mama." And then I waited a while, and I was like, is there a reason why? What, did I do something wrong? He's like, no, I needed some extra screens to pull, and so that worked out. So
I ended up using mine. I only have
that's
100
fine.
finds, which sounds a little ridiculous, but I spend most of my time building Cachly, and then I go out and test it and find some caches. And so
Sure.
I'm thinking geocaching in my head while I'm working on Cachly, and I don't
Absolutely.
always go out and make 5,000 finds yet. So
Right. That's okay. You understand it. You understand it very well, so that works out great. No, that was fun to see that screen, and I do like the new 2.0 screen. Looks really cool.
yeah, thank you.
You bet. So the items. What are, I guess, go ahead and pull that back. I guess pull that back up again if you
Yep.
would, and show a couple more screens of.
Sure.
What are some other items that you're?
So something we were missing actually from a lot of our screens were favorite points, trackables, and then also if somebody had a cache note. So let's see here. So now in the new version, the map call out, when you tap a little pin, it'll have all that information. It'll also have the geocache code. List view, which will also have that, which list view did mostly have all of those before. But you can see the little yellow icon means you have a note there, a personal note.
Oh, very cool. I like that.
Yeah, as well as the details view has all of those, and it's kind of an updated design. So it's just a little more thought out and redesigned a little bit to include all those information, because a lot of times people said, I tap on some of the pins and I don't know the favorites, and I totally agree with them. It's hard to when you're looking at the map and you tap on something, you go back to list view and you got to scroll through to find that one that you just tapped on, which is a pain. So packing all that extra information in there in kind of a way that doesn't look crowded, and I don't think it looks crowded. I think it looks nice and well designed. I didn't design it myself, so I can say that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty
nice.
proud of these extra screens and how much information we have on them. So yeah, that's what they look like there. So
really, they really are. They are great to use, and I like. I'm not going to bash the geocaching.com one. They have one way of doing the sizes that they've changed to. I like your size label. I can easily tell it's a small or a micro or whatever. So, okay, keep going. I'm sorry. Don't interrupt you.
No worries. Let's see here. So this is what our offline maps will look like. It's just
pull that. Can you pull it up a little bigger or move it to the side? I think you're off a little bit off to the side there.
Can you see that there?
I see.
Let me see what we're seeing there. Okay, we're seeing somehow. Let me flip this to my full desktop here.
Yeah, no problem.
There we go. Okay, can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically OpenStreetMaps, and I was able to style the map however I wanted, and obviously I have pretty much every piece of information that you would on any other OpenStreetMap provider.
Yeah,
and I'll be updating the maps every month, so that'll be a good thing. So
I like the I can immediately see it's a dot. I haven't found it. If it's a star, it's mine. If it's a smiley face, I know I found it. Frowny face, etc. What is the one? Am I missing, or is that
a triangle?
Yeah.
So the red triangle is if it has corrected coordinates. So if you have a multi or or a mystery or something like that, you'll see that if you've added corrected coordinates.
Okay, very cool. And we actually, you and I have talked a little bit about when Slinky Mom and I were down in doing the Kyle Texas Geo Tour. One thing I learned was, it makes perfect sense, but at the time, what I needed to do, because I was doing waypoints.
Yep.
Waypoints are completely different than corrected coordinates, in a sense, because I tried to do a second corrected coordinate and it said you can't do two corrected coordinates.
Yeah. So to add a corrected coordinate, excuse me, in Cachly, you actually add a waypoint and then choose for that waypoint to be a corrected coordinate.
There you go.
And yeah, you can't add two, because if you went to geocaching.com and you saw your corrected coordinates, it wouldn't be able to display two of them. So it's kind of it's a
Right.
limitation, obviously, of the API, and it's, wouldn't make sense to have two of them. So.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, I don't need, like you said, it was, I had it wrong, kind of had it, guess, wrong in my head a little bit about how that functions.
Sure.
Memphis Mafia mentioned about corrected chords. Corrected chords are great to use.
Yeah, and if you add one on geocaching.com and then you go to that cache in Cachly, it'll show that as a corrected coordinate. So it's kind of both ways.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Because in a sense, you're pulling in the auto magically done way the API information somehow, right?
Yeah, and we will actually place the map pin and the coordinates at the corrected location, which is helpful, and everybody has loved, because I think there's some other apps that you can set a corrected coordinate, but it still leaves the pin at their original location.
Right.
So it's a little confusing. And then in the 2.0 version, I've created an extra waypoint for the original location, just if the user ever wants to navigate there, because I've been to have some users that really wanted to know where the original was after they've added the corrected. And in the current version, there was no way to do that, but now it's kind of an automatic thing where it will have both of them.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah. Very cool. So what are some other, what are some items, I know you're still working on a lot of these for 2.0. What are some other things that you're doing in 2.0? And then, if you would, kind of mention some things that users can be excited about down the road that you're going to try to do later on.
Sure. Let's see. So in 2.0, a lot of it's just kind of refining the processes. I think we touched on most of the big features. Another one is the refreshing of the offline lists, which is a much requested feature. And then I'm doing something new for pocket queries. Before, we would download the actual GPX file and use that to process and save all those offline. But it actually was missing things like favorite points and personal cache notes. The GPX files just don't include those. So I had users saying, like, why doesn't it show favorite points for these? So we're going to be actually downloading them in a different way in the new version, which will include all of that data. So that's kind of a good improvement, where people won't be kind of just confused of what's going on.
Cool.
And in the future, boy, I have a giant list of features, but I don't have a roadmap for those features in my 2.0 version.
That's all right.
I mean, really, like once we release the 2.0, it's going to be, the next releases will be probably refining the 2.0 experience.
You probably won't do like a 3.0 till next year. You're going to do the interim versions that just do. Because I guess every time you do a version, whether it be a big version or a small version, you try, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming you do some features, and then other things you have found that are like little bug fixes, you sort of toss them in as you go.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So whenever we do like a micro update, which would be like 1.1.1, those are usually bug fixes. But if we did like 1.1 or 1.2, those are some larger features and obviously bug fixes. And then with 2.0, it's lots of big things we have been working on for a long time. So yeah.
Because see, I'm on 1.1.7 and a 1 in parentheses.
Yeah. So that's the 1 in parentheses is the build number. So my beta testers right now are on version 2.0 build 12. So that's 12 different versions I've sent them. And then when we release the version, it'll say whatever build that was that we finished on. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
It was settings I was thinking of that I went into. But one thing that I know some people like that you can do in the settings, I think some people forget to go into settings and kind of look around. But cache radius, I think that's interesting, that you can look as a cache owner and a cache hider. It's kind of nice to, if I'm kind of just checking out the area, I can go to cache radius. I can, and it's if people see, cache radius is one of those, what do you call those little slide
It's a little
So
kind of like a little radio button or
proper net, yeah,
switch. It's
slide.
called a switch
A
in our
switch.
programming.
There we go. Very technical term there. So cache radius, I normally leave that off, but I know for some people they can leave it on. But that's very cool to have, so you can kind of see the radius of a cache,
Yep.
especially if you're looking to start, adding one. Prevent map rotation. I don't like the map to be bouncing around. Some people do. That's cool
Yeah.
to have it different things.
And back to your comment about people, hiders and cache owners and stuff that use that feature. Another feature that helps with that I think is kind of hidden and I need to promote it more is how you can add saved locations. And that's in your current version. You can tap on your current location indicator and then tap on the plus, and you can save that location that you're at. Or
yes,
you can also press your finger and hold on any of the maps, and it will drop a pin, and then you can move that around. You can save those. So that's been helpful to me when I wanted to hide a cache. I'll save that and then get the coordinates, later.
So I've done the pin, but you can actually save those.
Yep.
Oh, okay, great.
You
Cool.
save those and then go back to the More tab, and it has all of your saved locations. Yep.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you don't want, like if you're not needing, if you need something quickly, you can quickly just put a note or you drop a pin and just go, okay, for whatever reason, we want it if a cache is they try to make it difficult by, pardon me, the coordinates are not necessarily right on, but I want to make a note that I've been in this little tiny area and I want to move over a little further. I can make myself a little pin that I've been in that area and I'm going to move to this. I'm going to move 500 feet this direction for whatever reason. And,
Yep.
the field puzzle reasons, there's a lot of cool things for that. That's really cool. The DNF information's in there. We can rebuild it. The show cache types on map, I don't know why you would not want to do that, but I don't know. I leave it on there.
That's where you can show your pin icon of the cache type and then a little DNF icon on the top right of that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's off by default. So it just shows like a blue frowny face and not the cache type. That's what it's for.
Oh, cool. Okay. Because I leave it on because I want to see both.
Yep.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. Some people don't want to see both.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So we could go on for hours. I know I can. You probably don't want to do that.
No, I like talking about it. There's lots of features, but I don't know if we have time for that.
We probably would. Yeah, all the time in the world. No. So there's a couple of things I want to kind of for you and I to talk about most. Things that you're not able to do because of got to it or whatever, but you really can't because it's not part. Because you really can do what the API, what you're provided.
Yep.
Okay. So one of them that came up that I've wanted to ask about was send message. So tell us a little bit about why, if I click on send message, it takes me to geocaching.com's website. Instead of
like a messaging center.
Yeah, instead of something created in Cachely.
Yeah. So far that has never been opened up to third-party developers. And I was always curious about that. I really would, love to add that feature. And I actually asked Groundspeak about it, and they gave me a good answer. It's because of privacy, really. And all of their messages out and in are all encrypted. They can't even read those messages. So to open that up for third-party developers, they wouldn't be able to guarantee that privacy of users. And so that's really the reason so far they haven't allowed anybody else to do that. And I don't know if in the future it'll ever be possible. So I think that was a good reason, and I understand that, especially from a privacy standpoint. Nowadays, everybody's worried about privacy. So,
sure.
And then a couple other things, that the API can't do that I wish it could do is, for example, like deleting logs or editing them. That's kind of a big thing that I wish we could do, and currently there's just not a way. That's one thing that it's kind of missing. So yeah.
So pretty much what their system that for their software,
Hmm.
do they update a separate type of API that you're allowed? Do they like give you a download of the API, or how do you tap in? You just tap into it and they have like a separate location where they can keep information that's allowed to third party, or I wonder, I don't know how they do that.
You mean how do they do it on their app? Is that what you mean?
Or how do they put a firewall between what they give you and what they have for themselves, I guess.
They have, it's likely that they have their own private API that's different from ours. So
Okay.
there's other things that you can do in the geocaching app that we can't. Like you can add a profile image within the app. You can log in natively through the app instead of using like a little Safari interface that looks like a browser. Some of those little small things like that are just
Okay.
kind of their APIs, and they probably built those for a reason why they haven't shared those. But yeah, we all use a separate API, and they probably have their own.
Mhm.
They're making all those network calls to a different place than we are.
Sure. Now,
Yeah.
do they give you? Do they send you like the private API that they're going to allow you to look at? Do they give you some sort of index of what is new, or do you have to kind of go hunt on your own for that kind of information? Like,
Um, there's
so if
there's
they
a
make it,
there's a mailing list, and they let us know if they're making changes or if there's updates, and every once in a while they've taken away a few features that people didn't really use because it was causing like major server strain and stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty good communication.
okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Jesse, I had another question for you. Will Cashly work on the Apple Watch in the future?
Well, I actually ordered one of the new Apple Watches the day they came out. The new ones, the Series 2. I don't know if anybody watched, heard about that, but the new ones are coming out with GPS on them. So that is a reason
Wow.
why I thought, I have the current one. I'm wearing it right now, and I bought it actually
Uh-huh.
to build a version of Cashly. But once I got it and I dug in there, actually, started the process of it, I realized it was more of a novelty, at least for Cashly. Like you couldn't do that much. It was so tethered to your phone that you're going to have your phone in your pocket anyway. You might as well just be holding your phone. But now with the new one coming out, I really hope that I could, you could download an offline list onto your watch. It'll have GPS. Most people wouldn't leave their phone at home, but you
Right.
could leave it in your car or something like that, or in your backpack, or whatever, and your watch would control the GPS and hopefully tell you when you're getting close to a cache and all that kind of stuff. So I have high hopes that I'll be able to do that. That's my goal. But it really comes down to what Apple allows with their hardware and software, if it's going to even be worth it to develop it. So,
Okay.
but we'll see. I get
And
my watch the start of next month, so we'll see.
very cool. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
And of course, we're getting close to the end, and of course, I have to ask you because people ask you all the time, and so I figured let's just talk about it because I think people don't realize what it would take, and that is an Android version of Cashly.
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about why or what it would take to do an Android version.
So yeah, people kind of throw it out there. They're like, "Oh, you're being ridiculous. You're missing out on a huge user base, and why don't you go to Android and stuff?" But I mean, yeah, they don't realize that I've put in almost 3 years of work on this app. Obviously not full time, but to do that on Android, I would have to rewrite everything completely. There's no crossover. I can't share code. That's not how it
Wow.
works. I have to write it, natively on Android. And some people might argue there's frameworks for writing it, cross-platform, but I didn't start out writing Cashly on a, cross-platform, so that's just not going to work. So,
Right.
I would love to have it on Android someday. I can't say it won't happen, but right now I don't have it on my list, on my schedule, or anything like that. My focus is iOS right now. And if someday we get a good feature base and there's no more features to add and everybody loves it and it's kind of stagnant, that would probably be the natural progression, is to try it, move it over to Android. But at this point,
Mhm.
it would be pretty difficult to do that and maintain my users and my Caching on iOS. It'd
Right.
be pretty hard to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's important for people to understand. I didn't know that. I thought because when you first told me that when we were at Geo Woodstock, I thought, oh, that makes perfect sense. Or
Yeah.
I think may have been a cache release we talked about it a little bit, but makes sense that at the time I thought that all it was some, I'm not a coder, so I don't know. I figured it'd be little tweaks and you're done, but no, full rewrite.
Yep.
Is not going to happen. So.
It's not easy, and graphics and everything works differently on that platform. So it wouldn't just be I pop over there and it's a quick rewrite of it. I would have to explore and figure things out on that platform, and figure out how mapping works and GPS and all that kind of stuff, which I haven't done before on Android. I've done some Android apps, but not to this extent. So
okay, yeah. Something else that came out recently, and we're going to kind of wrap up with this, and or one of these items is geocaching stickers. So talk a little bit about, because I saw you put a note about it.
Yep.
What all are we going to be doing with the stickers on? This is version 10 of iOS, right?
Yes. So this has nothing to do with Cachly, except that it's kind of a cross-promotional thing. But yeah, in iOS 10 on your iPhone, in Messages, there'll be this option to send stickers to everybody. Really, they're just images. But people have been able to do that in other chat apps for a long time, on Facebook and what else? I'm not up on all the other chat apps, to be honest.
Okay.
A lot of the younger generation, it's something they probably do all the time. It's basically like large emoji. So they're going to open it up to, they're going to have a store for these little stickers within Messages. So for 99 cents, you can download the geocaching sticker pack, and you can send all those little stickers to your friends or whoever. And then I got plenty new ideas from users and from myself that we're going to add. Right now we have 12 stickers and new ideas for probably 50 more. So once you pay the 99 cents, then you'll just get all the rest free. So it's a fun idea and just kind of a fun separate thing that has to do with geocaching. So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
So someday, can I put a GIF, attach that to a cache log? You think?
I hope so.
Like
I actually have it on my list for Cachly to make
Fancy Pikachu on the. Okay, cool.
I would like to do that someday. Yeah.
Put a little short video on the log.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. This is my log. Let me tell you about this cache that you're looking for, because you're looking at my log, and I'll tell you about now. So
make that a Cachly exclusive. Yeah, just to work in Cachly.
Absolutely, wonderful. Couple notes in the chat room where basically, hopefully, this ends the discussion about Android. I hope it does too, but it probably never will. And then Jesse or Christy. They didn't tell me. Memphis Mafia is, both of them. So,
yep.
But anyway, whoever's in the chat room says, I would just suggest everyone switch to iOS. Probably both of them are.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's the best. And so, okay, enough of that. So anyway, okay. Well, I'm going to mention a little bit about, and if you have any more questions, please get them in, because we're getting to the end of the show. And so if you have any more questions, toss them in. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about, we'll talk about our giveaway here in a moment, but I want to talk a little bit about some mega event news and something that came in the mail. Got it yesterday, actually, was because my mega event news is sponsored by IB Geocaching Supplies. It's the best site for geocoins, cache containers, and much more. And it can be found at ibgeocaching.com. And he gave me some stuff to give away, and I did this on a separate show, but I'm going to show real quick. IB Geocaching, he did some pins. There's some pins I got.
Very nice.
Let me switch screens here. Yeah, he sent me some pins and some swag that'll be given away on the show at a later date as time goes on. So anyway, so that's IB Geocaching. So mega event news, and this is one that I know Jesse of Memphis Mafia will be thrilled that I mention again, and that is the 5th annual International Earth Cache event is in good old Denver, Colorado. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. And then the whole list will be in the show notes, so I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm just going to mention a couple of them. But you can always find them either on my website, on geocachetalk.com, or in the show notes. A couple others that are coming up. The Geo Coin Fest 2016 is in St. Louis, Missouri on October 15th. Same weekend, though, in Georgia, you could go to the Going Caching 2016 event, which is, this is wild, Nick. If you ever go take a look at that website sometime or in this event, but they always dress up. It's a big costume play. Usually it's Renaissance themed or steampunk themed, or apparently it's a happening thing, man. It's really cool. But you get cards, you get little, they'll make you little geocaching cards with your information on it. Anyway, so I want to go sometime. I don't know. I think Joshua Johnson's talking about going. I don't know if he'll end up going or not, but different type of mega event.
Yeah.
Different type than Geo Woodstock. But anyway, which, speaking of, are you planning? This is a long way off, but are you kind of planning to go to 15? You have and do it.
Sure.
Okay.
Not sure yet. It's ways off, and it's further. It's further across the coast for me. It's completely across the country, so I'm not sure yet.
Fly to Asheville.
Yeah.
Well, Slinky Mom and I will come pick you up and take you to
That'd be great.
to event if need be. I'm willing to come get you and show free around if need be. And it could be cool. I think it'd be nice to have you do another talk.
Yeah, I would love to.
Be great. Normally at this time I do product reviews. Product review of the week is sponsored by Cachly.
Yes.
Every week I mention Cachly. Cachly is the foremost geocaching app, and it can be found at cach.ly. Why you picked that?
You can go to cachly.com as well.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah, it just redirects. Say that from now on.
Okay. I'm changing my show notes. From now on, I'm going to say cachly.com.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Thanks. Well, we just did a product review. The whole show is a product review.
Yep.
So I'm not doing a product review tonight. We don't have time. But I do want to mention to people to email me if you'd like me to review a product that you really love and that you really think that other people would like to hear about. I've done bug sprays and pens, and I've done all sorts of cool stuff. But so tell me, send me a note, send me a link to the product, and your product may too be on a future Geocache Talk show. So geocachetalk at gmail.com. So we're to the giveaway. So the giveaway is for tonight is for the coin. Yeah, I'm on the right screen. It's for your lovely coin.
Very cool.
Nick, I love it. So here's the question. And just send me an email at geocachetalk@gmail.com with the answer to this. And it's kind of two-part. If you get one part, I tell you I'll be okay with it. But one part or the other is good enough to get you in to the random drawing at that point. And let me tell you, folks, it's a lot of people listen or watch the show. Not that many people email. So you got a really good chance of getting this coin if you send me an email. And that is that Nick has been on the show before. This is not necessarily a repeat guest because he kind of was on one of the shows before. So the question is, where were we? Where was Nick and I when we did that show? And what is the show number that he is on? And this guy gets in that gray area because, as you know, Nick, there's a whole contest going on for the first repeat guest.
Yep.
Dano and Sydney, Sermonary 18, and Land Monkey just put a video together. Memphis Mafia. Well, Jesse Lunsford sent me a video. He's been on the show. Memphis Mafia proper, which is Jesse and Christy, are going to be on the show in a few weeks, actually next month. So anyway, send me an email after all that roundabout stuff there. Send me an email as to where were we and or what show number was that. All right. Well, coming soon to Geocache Talk. Next week, show 15 is Joshua Johnson, the geocaching blogger. He's going to be on and talk about his double secret trip that he just took, and that'll be fun to hear more about. And we're going to talk about his web vlogging and all that. So we're not just talking about his double secret trip, but we're talking about other things too. In 2 weeks, we'll be on Michelle Weidenbender. We actually have already recorded this show, so it won't be a live show. I try to do live shows. Sometimes I'm not able to. That one with Michelle, we're going to be talking about her books. She's done a couple different geocaching books. We're going to talk about geocaching in the media and books and movies and TV shows. We're going to talk a little bit about why we don't see more geocaching and what are some things that are sort of maybe upcoming in that area. And she also talks a little bit on that show about how to maybe write a geocaching book. So that was a fun show. Y'all love that. That's in 2 weeks. And then in 3 weeks, on October 2nd, show number 17, I'm going to have a dog on, Nick. So you're not. So the dog's not going to follow you, but yes, the show it's moving up a little bit. I'm going to have a good puppy dog on. Actually, I'm going to have on Dana and Molly, the fire safety dog. Also, it's Molly, the geocaching dog. So that'll be fun. Dana's been on Chicago Fire. She even tried out again for another episode of Chicago Fire.
Nice.
So yeah, and she's going to talk about her experiences, and we're going to talk a little bit about her nonprofit, which is the fire safety. And Molly is going to hold a sign during at the beginning of the show, probably, with the repeat guest winner, which is shows 1 through 12. All were given the challenge of putting together a video of upping their stats in some form or fashion, either finishing out Fizzy or Jasmer or finding their highest elevation stat cache or their furthest north or furthest east or whatever it happened to be. So they put together a video and they send it in, and we're going to have a poll put out for the public. I'm not going to vote on it. I might get one vote, but everybody else will get to vote. And based on that, I'll be picking someone, or the public's going to be picking the person, and then they're going to be on a future show. They get to pick the topic, as long as it's geocaching related, and they're going to be back on the show, and that'll be a fun thing to do. So anyway,
Very nice.
Let me see if there's any further questions. So UDAC mentioned the sticker ideas are great. It's about time we had some geocaching emojis or whatever the kids use these days. Yeah, I love that. That's a good idea. Memphis Mafia mentioned that he mentioned because he's on the committee for that Earth caching event or the mega event. He wondered why the Earth cache event in September is different than the Earth caching in October, which I think Earth Cache Day every year is on a certain time of the year. So anyway, whatever. Interesting discussions. And then Slinky Mom wants to know if she can vote. Yes, dear, you can vote on the different people for that. So, all right. Well, Nick, anything else that you want that came to mind or you thought of you want to talk about with Cashly?
Yeah, one thing I just remembered that is coming in 2.0 that was requested, and I think it's kind of cool, is on caches you can now see who has favorited that cache. So on the details screen, there's a new button. You can see all the people that favored it. So it's just another kind of social interaction. Then you can add those people as friends and stuff like that. So it's another another cool thing. So
very cool.
Yep.
Lovely. I love it. Well, Nick, thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you.
What is, I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to let you answer it. What is the best way for folks to contact you about Cashly?
Well, like we talked about before, let's forget that old URL. You can just go to cashly.com.
Right.
Or if you already have the app, just use the support option, and then it comes directly to me. So,
okay.
Yep.
That's true.
Best ways. Yep.
Because that's in the app, or once you know the email, you could be emailed. And you have been really good. I want to praise you again here at the end of the show on your responses I, as a user of an app, I really do, and I think I speak for everyone who uses Cachly. We really do value and appreciate the fact that you respond, even if you don't have an answer, or
Yeah.
or you do have an answer but you can't. It's a future release, whatever it happens to be. But at least you respond. And I really do. I appreciate you doing that. And I'm sure you get lots of email.
I get quite a bit, but I want to value each one and make each user important. So trying to
Yeah.
get back to them really quickly is important to me. So yeah, I've been trying to do that.
Wonderful. We can also find you on Twitter. Definitely, become a follower of Nic on at Cachly app.
Yep.
Because you respond even on there quite a bit too.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yep. That and Facebook. We get lots of questions through there as well. So.
Yeah. Wonderful. All right. Well, great. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Email me your comments, and on the giveaway, send me a guess at Geocache Talk, one word, at gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Geocache Talk and Facebook at facebook.com/Geocache Talk. Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, as well as the Geocache Talk website. Tell your friends about the show. Ask them to subscribe so they too can hear the show on a weekly basis. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Get the Cachly app and go geocaching.
Do it.
All right. Good night, everyone. All right. Stop the audio and bye, everybody on the live show.
See you guys.
Bye. Thanks for being there.